First at 9 this Friday, the 31st of May 2024. Intelligent transformation. Sri Lanka's conversion to an export-oriented economy requires artificial intelligence, stresses the president. A win-win situation. Foreign Minister calls on Sri Lankan businesses to place themselves in the global supply chain.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that Sri Lanka has to become a centre for artificial intelligence technology in the South Asian region within the next 5 years. The head of state highlighted the necessity of integrating AI technology into all sectors of the country as a crucial part of Sri Lanka's effort to transform its economy into one that is export-oriented. He also revealed that the government intends to establish a national AI centre as part of the planned digital transformation agency to stimulate the development of the sector.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday engaged in a discussion with university scholars at the Presidential Secretariat on the integration of artificial intelligence technology in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka has to leapfrog as far as technology is concerned. We are far behind and the knowledge is not used for economic benefit. So the new area is AI, where we can't lag behind in that. We can't make the mistake we made with IT. We looked at projects, not at applications. As a result, we are behind some of the other countries. We are going to establish the digital transformation agency. It's not merely IT, but you have to do a social and economic transformation through digitalization. Within that, there will be a separate autonomous body called the National AI Center that will have its own director and its own board. Outside that, there will be the Technology Development Council. Here we will put money to promote commercial research. The initial moves will most probably be made in the second half of the year. I have asked to start AI clubs in schools. We want AI in the university. Let's see, in next 5 years, we have to make it in AI. That's the target. We need it very badly also because now we have to convert ourselves from an import-dependent economy to an export-dependent economy. By 2035, we have to make a significant transformation of the economy. And AI has to play a lead role in that because AI is not territorial, it's global. That's where we can make a mark if we really go at it. Our percentage of people involved in AI should be higher than other countries, especially in South Asia.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
ජීවිතේ හැම තැනකදීම ස්මාර්ට් වෙන්න පොලිය විතරක් ගෙවාගෙන යන්න CDB Smart Draft.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, President's Council Ali Sabri called on Sri Lankan businesses to be part of the global supply chain. Addressing the IORA Business Conclave, the Foreign Minister said that the government is taking steps to create a broader market for Sri Lankan businesses via the negotiation of trade agreements.
IORA Business Conclave, organised by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, was held in Colombo recently under the theme Sustaining Growth, Bridging Horizons.
We are aware that the countries that are in the IORA consists of countries with different sizes, shapes, different economies and different cultural backgrounds. However, all put together, they present enormous opportunity for trade and investment amongst the member countries.
Sri Lankan market is 22 million. But through partnership various countries, we are trying to create a bigger market, a win-win situation. So place yourself in this global supply chain. We have already partnership with our neighbor India, Pakistan, Thailand. We have applied for RCEP. We are vigorously working with that. We have started negotiations with Malaysia. We have started our negotiations with Indonesia. We have 6 rounds of talks with China and the 7th round is scheduled to take place. With all those things that we are trying to create, a larger and bigger market which is more attractive to investment. Sri Lankans must understand our market share in the world economy is 86 trillion. Our economy is 78 billion. So if you translate that into a percentage, 0.08. So it is much more for Sri Lanka to gain by being part of this larger market rather than being alone. So it is important that we understand this reality and start working towards it and build that competitive product which could compete at a global level, not only the local market itself. If you look at the history, it is the region which have grown together, whether it's North America, Greater China, Middle Eastern countries in the Gulf Council, or whether it is European Union. I honestly believe this is the turn of South Asia. With India growing, here is opportunity for so many of other countries in the region to grow together. I suggested to BIMSTEC ministerial meeting, as well as I will suggest to the IORA, that we must also, similar to the business conclave what we have, similar to all other conclaves that we have, we must have a fiscal policy conclave and monetary policy conclave so that we share good common practices across the board, learn from each other, so we will not return to what we underwent in 2022. We have gone through what we went through, but I must tell, we don't want any other country to go through that.
Welcome back. Now in some breaking news, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced a fuel price revision with effect from midnight tonight. A price of a litre of 92-octane petrol has been reduced by 13 rupees to 355 rupees. Auto diesel litre has been reduced by 16 rupees to 317 rupees. The price of a litre of 95-octane petrol and super diesel will remain unchanged at their current prices of 420 rupees and 377 rupees respectively. Now in other news, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Maldives, Musa Samir, will be undertaking an official visit to Sri Lanka from the 3rd to the 4th of June. During his official visit, the Maldivian Foreign Minister is scheduled to pay courtesy calls on President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The Foreign Minister of Maldives and his delegation will also have official bilateral discussions with the Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka, President's Counsel Ali Sabri, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Colombo. Maldivian Foreign Minister Zamir will also be accompanied by senior officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Maldives. The island-wide strike action launched by the Teacher Principal Trade Union continued for its second day today. According to the Education Minister, Dr. Susil Premajayantha, an average teacher attendance of 75% has been recorded yesterday from schools across the island despite the action. The minister highlighted that the salary discrepancies under scrutiny from the trade unions cannot be addressed this year, but that necessary funds will be allocated in next year's budget proposal.
The trade union action instituted by the Teacher Principal Trade Union Alliance continued for the second day today. Members of the Trade Union Alliance reported in sick in protest of teacher principal salary discrepancies. However, a number of trade unions including the Ceylon Teachers Union, Ceylon Teacher Service Union, or Ceylon Union of Teachers and the Ceylon Principals Union did not take part in the strike action. As a result, schools across the country continued lessons as usual. However, operations at a number of schools were affected by the trade union action.
We
will stop reporting in sick from today. However, tomorrow we will convene a meeting of the unions and decide on our next course of action.
අපි තීරණය කරනවා ඊළඟ වෘත්තීය ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය කුමක්ද කියන එක.
ගුරු සහ විද්‍යාල්පතිවරුන්ගේ වැටුප් විෂමතාවය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගණනාවක් යෝජනා කරලා තියෙද්දී
This trade union action went ahead despite actions being taken to address the teacher principal salary discrepancy. This will result in nothing but weakening the bond between the teachers unions. We started our action against this issue last year. Our next action will be a protest in Mathara on the 7th of June. After that, on the 12th of June, there will be protests at zonal education offices across the country. On the 26th, we will bring teachers from across the island to Colombo.
ජුනි මාසේ 12 වෙනිදා රටපුරා කලාප කාර්යාලකයන්ට කරන අපි උද්ඝෝෂණ මාලාවක් සංවිධානය කරලා දිනවා. අපි එළඹෙන 26 වෙනිදා සමස්ත ගුරුවරු කොළඹට ගේන සංවිධානය කරලා දිනවා.
Education Minister Dr. Susil Premajayantha during a media briefing commented on the issue.
සාමාන්‍යයක් හැටගත්තොත් 75ක් ගුරුවරුන්ගේ පැමිණීම මුළු දිවයිනේම ඊයේ වාර්තා කරලා තිබුණා.
Despite the trade union action yesterday, a 75% average teachers' attendance was recorded from schools across the country. Funds have not been allocated to address the teacher-principal salary discrepancy this year. More than 40 million rupees will be required to address this issue. We cannot allocate such a sum this year. The Cabinet has taken the decision to resolve this issue before the next year's budget proposal is presented to Parliament. The necessary funds will be allocated in the budget proposal.
ඒ අවශ්‍යතාවය අයවැය ලේඛනයෙන් හදාගෙන මුදල් වෙන් කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු කරන්නයි කියන තීන්දුව අරන් තිනවා. දැන් ඒ තීන්දුව මත ඉන්නවා.
Now, a contempt of court application has been filed in the Court of Appeals against former President Maithripala Sirisena for allegedly disregarding an order made by the Colombo District Court regarding the Sri Lanka Freedom Party's chairmanship. The petition has been filed by Montague Sarachandra, an executive committee member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The case was brought before the bench presided over by President of the Court of Appeals, Justice Nishanka Bandula Karunaratne and Justice Shashi Mahindran yesterday. The petitioner claims that the former president committed contempt of court through his actions in violation of a court order issued by the Colombo District Court, preventing him from acting as the chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. In response, the court has instructed the petitioner's attorney to serve notice to Maithripala Sirisena, seeking confirmation of the facts related to the petition. The case is set to be heard again on the 10th of July. Now, leader of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Sajith Premadasa, highlighted that Sri Lanka demands a practical development program in the interest of its progress and development as opposed to political speeches. He made those remarks addressing the 213th edition of the Sakvala program.
The 213th edition of the Sakvala program was held at the Kudagoda Junior School in Hambantota under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
අද මම මේ පාසලට ඇවිල්ලා computers බෙදනකොට smart boards බෙදනකොට මට බනිනවා.
Many criticize my donation of computers and smart boards to schools like these. They say that making donations is not the way forward. I ask those who criticize me if they know that this school, which provides education to 378 students, does not have even a single computer. This school's ICT teacher's personal computer was used to provide practical ICT education to all students from the 6th grade to the 11th grade. Do you still think that the distribution of computers, smart boards and printers is wrong? Who can say such a thing? They go around the world and raise money for political parties. They raise millions and millions of rupees. However, they do not use those funds to develop Sri Lanka's education. This is a bankrupt nation. Some who claim to be leaders and political alternatives raise money and promote their own parties. What about the country's progress and promotion? This country does not need speeches. This country needs action. This country needs a practical development program.
මේ රටට අවශ්‍ය කයිවාරුව නෙවෙයි මේ රටට අවශ්‍ය ක්‍රියාව ප්‍රායෝගික සංවර්ධන වැඩසටහන.
Now, in other political news, drawing attention to the recent comments made by UNP's General Secretary Palitha Rangebandara vis-a-vis the extension of the incumbent president's tenure by 2 years without an election, leader of the National People's Power, Anurukumara Dissanayake, asserts that such remarks clearly depict the extent to which the political elite of the country fear the verdict to be rendered by the people in the upcoming presidential polls. He made those remarks at a rally in Polonnaruwa.
The Polonnaruwa district farmers' rally of the National People's Power was held under the patronage of NPP leader Anurukumara Dissanayake.
Wajira Abeyewardena claims Ranil Wickremesinghe should be the sole presidential candidate in the upcoming presidential polls. What do you think about it? A cooperative society election could be the only election where Ranil Wickremesinghe could be allowed to run as a sole candidate. Then Rangebandara questions if Ranil Wickremesinghe's tenure can be extended without an election. Did he not make such remarks recently? Those remarks clearly show that the political elite of this country are more afraid today than at any other point in history. Rangebandara claimed that elections will not be held. Did we panic? Definitely not. Can Rangebandara do such a thing? Can he stop elections from being held? He cannot do such a thing. We will not panic over Rangebandara's statements or allegations made against the statements of our B team.
Today, the Colombo High Court ordered the release of former Central Bank Governor Dr. Ajit Niwad Cabral and 3 other defendants in a case filed against them alleging financial losses caused to the government of Sri Lanka through investment in Greek treasury bonds in 2012. Attorneys representing the former CBSL governor argued that the case filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption cannot be maintained. The Colombo High Court Judge Aditya Patamadike accepted the objections so submitted and ordered the release of Ajit Niwad Cabral along with the co-defendants. The defendants had been accused of being responsible of a financial loss exceeding 1.8 billion rupees to the Sri Lankan government through the investment in Greek treasury bonds in 2012. On the 3rd of May, former CBSL governor's attorneys raised preliminary objections which ultimately led to today's court decision. Now, results of the 2023 GCE Advanced Level Examination were released earlier this afternoon. Accordingly, applicants who sat for the 2023 GCE Advanced Level Examination can now access their results through the official website of the Department of Examinations, www.duoenets.lk. A total of 229,057 school applicants and 40,556 private applicants sat for the 2023 GCE Advanced Level Examination. According to the Commissioner General of Examinations, Amit Jayasundara, a total of 173,444 applicants have qualified for university entrance. This depicts 64.33% of the total applicants. The examination was held from the 4th to the 31st of January 2023 in 2,302 examination centres across Sri Lanka. Now in your business news, Lanka Hospitals Corporation PLC announced that the company has been notified by the Department of Public Enterprise of the Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies regarding a decision by the Board of Directors of Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation Limited to transfer its shares in Lanka Hospitals Corporation PLC to the Secretary of the Treasury. In its corporate disclosure, the company stated that they were informed that a request has been submitted to the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission to facilitate the transfer of the said shares pursuant to the decision. The relevant announcement is made under the continuing disclosure requirements of the Colombo Stock Exchange regarding the intimation by the Department of Public Enterprise. That is, in respect of actions initiated towards the restructuring of the legal and beneficial ownership of shares of the company held by the Government of Sri Lanka through its agencies. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, the Colombo-based inflation rate on a year-on-year basis decreased to 0.9% in May 2024. As per the latest figures of the DCS, CCPI-based inflation was calculated at 1.5% last month. The year-on-year inflation of the food group dropped to 0% in May 2024 from 2.9% in April 2024. Meanwhile, inflation of the non-food group climbed to 1.3% in May from 0.9% in April 2024. The food group and the non-food group contributed to 0.37% and negative 0.2% to CCPI in May 2024, respectively. The CPI core in May 2024 decreased to 177.0 from 177.3 in April 2024, while the general price level increased by 94.1% compared to the index reference in 2021. The all-share price index closed in red today as a result of price losses in counters such as Richard Peary's and Company, Commercial Bank and LLC Holdings, with the turnover crossing 1.1 billion rupees. The benchmark all-share price index settled at 12,106.49 after gaining 0.52%, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 gained 0.47% to close at 3,569.0.4 points. During the month, the ASPI and the S&P Sri Lanka 20 lost 2.1% rather and 3.3% respectively, whilst recording an average daily turnover of 1.85 billion rupees. High net worth and institutional investor participation was noted in Melster Corp, Nations Trust Bank and National Development Bank. Food and beverage and tobacco sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the sector index lost 0.36%. Capital goods sector was the second highest contributed market turnover, while the sector index decreased by 0.52%. Foreigners closed as net buyers, spending 121 million rupees. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.